see if this comes back on. It would be awesome if that fixed it, because I'm not playing Pac-Man again. Thank you. Alright, is that working again? Is this thing on? Oh god. Okay, yeah, so I don't know what's going on, dude. I have no idea. All I had to do was reboot like I did last time on Elgato. I streamed 13 hours on across 2 days last week and didn't get any problems. So I'm not sure what's going on and why it's giving me so much trouble today. Whoops, dropping stuff. So I don't know. Okay, so looks. I think that's reasonable. We don't want to be too damaged. It's good enough, I think. Let's just enhance that a little bit darker. Cool. Alright, assuming everybody can hear me. Everything good? Are we good? As the model wobbles and so forth. Up. Audio. Okay. Awesome. Sweet. Alright, so we had someone who was in here. I'm sorry, my chat I refreshed the page like 50 times myself trying to figure out what was going on. Somebody was telling me they were working on orcs. Are you still in the chat? Are you still there, buddy? It is definitely alive for now. Awesome. So I'm going to show you some of what I do for weathering, and you may already do this. You may have seen it. If not, I think it's really going to help you out, especially for orcs, because, I mean, your orcs probably be able to weather whatever you want. Now, I approach my marines kind of like orcs. If it can be dirty and broken, it's dirty and torn up, because, I mean, it's the year 40,000. Stuff's not pristine. I mean, if you drive into battle and your tank doesn't come out scratched, I feel like you weren't working hard, you know what I mean? So give me a second, and I'll show you the stuff that I do. And we'll just use this flyer as a demo piece. Alright, so are you, I'm assuming you're familiar with dry brushing, and have you ever used the technique dabbing with foam? If this is insulting your intelligence, I apologize. Oh, nice. Yeah, so I don't use a wet palette very often. If I'm working on some high detail stuff, I will. For stuff like this, not so much. And what I'm getting ready to show you, you don't even need that for. But if you know how to use a wet palette, you are ahead of the game, I promise. So, let's see here. Alright, I don't know if you have this paint. Typhus Corrosion. This stuff is great for weathering. Super easy, and basically it's got a texture in it like sand, so when you put it on something, it's going to give it some grit. Once I show you the next step, I'll explain to you why that's useful. Shake this up, get all stuff moving. Alright, so what I did, I took some pluck foam. Any kind of foam will work, but I'm using a pluck foam from like an army transport thing that I'm using for models. And I've made kind of like a rough, crude, not quite point, but slightly pointed-ish tip, and it's got a little texture. We're going to dip this into the Typhus Corrosion. Alright. Hopefully I got enough to finish this. I'm almost out. We're going to take this, and we're going to take a paper towel, and we're just going to dab it on here until not a lot of it comes off. You don't want too much coming out. And then we're going to take this model. We're going to go across the spots we want weathered or damaged, which it's a marine thing in a vehicle, so I like having lots of the edges bashed up and damaged. So you're just going to kind of dab, and as you do, twirl it a little bit after each dab. and like you're starting to get paint chips, or the what looks like paint chips. Now this is real easy, real simple, and you could stop after you finish this going across your vehicle. This you could stop, like for basic tabletop, like you're already now approaching doing extra work and making it look better than just throwing paint on. But this is real quick, real gritty, and there are a few steps we will do afterwards that will get this to the next level real quick. And it's going to tie together all the weathering. And so, see, like, makes it look like the yellow is just chipped off. Super easy. So come over here, do the same thing. And this is my favorite part. Like, I love weathering tanks and vehicles. Like, especially because, like, if you screw up somewhere like the spot I wasn't happy with, we're just going to cover it up. No big deal. I'm not painting some showpiece that's going to go on the floor and, you know, people are going to oogle at it. I mean, they can oogle at weathered models, but I mean, like, it's not a Lamborghini that can't have scratches. I mean, it's a Space Marine Flyer. It can have scratches. You know, Orc truck. Scratch that thing. Chip the paint. Make it look like the thing's been fighting. And if it starts not having the consistency you like, just dip it back in and go, or pinch off the tip and get you a different texture that you like. Eventually it will start to dry inside the foam and you'll have to pluck it and get a fresh tip, but no big deal. Come down here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I do sound effects too. If you saw me live stream this last week, probably half the stream was just me going boom, 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 boom. Dab, 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 dab. Yeah, that was my thing. Dab, 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 dab. I think Tim Communal Napkin spent a long time watching me do that. Dun, 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 dun. Let's come around this other side. Dun, 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 and twirl. Get some texture. You can't really screw this up too much. If you do, approach it like Bob Ross. Happy little accident. Not a mistake. Yeah, man. And it literally, I'll show you a few other things that'll go with it. And if you go to a local hobby shop and they carry paints, typhus corrosion, you're gonna want to pick that up. I promise. You're gonna want it. This next paint, you're definitely gonna want to, and especially for orcs. I mean, it's gonna work great. So we've got that sufficiently chipped up. It looks like it's been flying around, blasting stuff, getting blasted. Let's just get a little more dents right there. That's right there. Cool. And I really like to focus on these edges. I want to have some heavier chipping there. Yeah. Because he's going to be flying into stuff and blasting into stuff. Alright. So we're going to give that just a moment. If I had a hairdryer hooked up, I could try and dry it off faster, but I don't. And we're going to do some dry brushing after that. Do you know what dry brushing is? Again, if I'm insulting your intelligence, I apologize, but that's the next step. So if you don't know, I will make sure you do know. Okay, cool. So next step, Rise of Rust. I actually think this is a fresh bottle. Let me see. Yeah, and it's not even dried out. I forgot I even had it. I was going to buy some new stuff, and we're good to go. Alright, so this is probably a $5 paintbrush. I would not recommend spending a lot of money on dry brushes because you're going to tear those up. However, I don't mind spending a couple extra dollars on these Army Painter ones because I like the kind of a wedge you get on the tip. But eventually they will get torn up. So don't do this with anything you've spent any considerable money on. Generally with dry brushing, you can go to Hobby Lobby or Walmart, get a $5 pack of brushes that are flat like this, and it's perfect for this kind of stuff. And then if they get too damaged, just throw them away. Alright, so with dry brushing, and right now I am using a dry brush compound from GW, so this is a thick, pigmenty, rich paint. So it's not very runny, and it's good for dry brushing. So you can do this with any other kind of paint. This is just really tailored for it. So what you want to do is get your paint on your paint brush, and then get your little paper towel here, and you're going to wipe off the excess. Get it into the bristles, just go back and forth until it's coming off in a very faded way. And I'm going to ditch this glove real quick and show you what I do. When I'm about to dry brush, before I touch the model, I'll go over the back of my hand and if not a lot comes off, I'm probably good to go. If it starts coming off like regular paint, too much paint's on there. And it's one of those things with trial and error, you'll figure it out. You're good to go. So anyway, now we'll take this and we're going to go over the stuff that we dabbed on for the chipped paint. This is going to make it look kind of rusty. With dry brushing, you'll just literally just back and forth on the model. So this is what we're going to do. And some of this is going to be subtle, some of it's going to show up well, it just depends. And you can come back and really start working it in with the dry brush if you want to. Depends on your preference and how grimy you want the model to look. So let me zoom in real quick. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if you look at the nose here, and you've got this spot right here, and see how it's starting to like catch that, and it's got that gritty orange look like rust would have if it's starting to take over in a spot. So there you go. That's what we're going for. And the only way to really screw this up is if you go too heavy with the paint in your in your actual paintbrush. So just make sure you don't load too much and you do proper technique. And this is really, really simple. Yeah, so Knar's on point as usual, being a moderator here and helping me out. Here's kind of what you can expect it to look like after you're done. This is with all the steps I do in one thing. Now that plane is nowhere near this yet, but this is where we're going. So anyway, I would finish dry brushing this whole model here, which, because we only have one instead of 6 tanks like I was doing last week. See, I'm going over my hand. You can see where it's coming out, so there's a little bit of excess. We're just getting it off. And we're just going to dry brush here. Anyway, last week I was doing this and I was getting the tanks prepped. I had a lot of tanks I was working on. A lot of armor, drop pods, stuff like that. So I couldn't really get through a lot of the steps on the stream quickly. It was like a 7.5 hour stream. Okay, cool. Let me get the dry brush part done real fast, and I will go to the next step, and I'll help you out, buddy. And that's one benefit of dry brushing. It is fast. Very fast. So I'm just coming over here. And, you know, if you want a more clean looking model, be a little bit more strategic with your dry brushing. Don't be as careless, but I like weathered stuff, so I'm going to send this thing to hell. That's just what I do. And if you want a slightly cleaner looking model, just dab less so you have less paint chips to worry about. And you're good to go. That's the beauty of weathering. You just kind of go until it looks the way you want it to look. You know. And if you get a little bit too much, well, just fix the spot and make it look battle damaged. So give me probably 2 or 3 minutes, if that. We just want to get all these spots that I dabbed a thing, or at least most of them. Oh yeah, so here's another, I don't want to say pro tip. I technically am a professional painter, but for lack of better terms, pro tip that I do, if I have paint or glued a model, generally for several hours, I won't touch it with a paintbrush, just on principle, because I've ruined paintbrushes thinking a model was dry, and if you drag a paintbrush through super glue, it's done. There's no fixing that. Or at least it's not going to function for what it was being functioned for. You might be able to dry brush with it or stipple, but you're not going to be doing any detail work. And I've got a couple brushes that are near and dear to me. They're old, they still work, and they were not cheap. And if I got super glue on it, I'd probably cry. If I did that on stream, I'd probably just turn the stream off and leave. See you guys next time. But that's me. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah. Don't worry about doing the whole penny thing. Ooh, whoo. See, this is what happens when you get too much paint on your dry brush. So now we're gonna wipe that off. That's one good thing of about dry brushing is it doesn't dry super quick. So that's still there. It's less dense, and this will be an area where we focus some of the weathering later on for washing, which is where we do the rust streaks. I'll just do rust streaks coming back through that rust, and that was a happy little accident on camera that we're going to make lemonade out of, so to speak. So let's get this spot. My 3 minutes probably turned into 5 minutes because I was yakking. I get all excited. You can tell I like talking. Being social is fun. Alright, I think that's reasonably rusted up enough. Alright, so next step. Done with the dry brush. Boop. Bob Ross. One of the other things you can do if you want to put specific scratches, obviously an X-Acto blade if you have one, but a pin vise or a hand drill. You can get a really, really small drill bit. I would show you, but it's in another room, and I don't want to walk away from the stream right now. Yeah, it's definitely, doing the scratches isn't terribly hard, which I'll get ready to show you. But the pin vise is really good for doing like bullet holes and stuff like that, so that's actually really useful. Also good to have if you're ever going to set magnets and stuff like that. So, anyway, now we're going to do a step that's going to make these paint chips look fresh, or at least have like fresh scratches and rust. So we're getting silver, just throwing some silver on my palette. I use 3 or 4 different silvers from Vallejo. I got this at Hobby Lobby. I use a 40% off coupon all the time and just get cheap paints. Well, I get paints for cheap. The Vallejo is not like a bad paint. It's actually pretty good stuff. Let me find my water. Whoops. Bang the camera around. Make you guys nauseated. That's how I'm going to grow the channel. It's just going to be like, watch me paint and make you vomit. That's what we're going to do. Alright, so basically I'm just thinning down my silver a little bit. I don't want it too thick. It dries up and then it streaks and whatever. You just want this to go on pretty easily. Alright. Now, hopefully you've got a paintbrush that's got a decent tip to it. This is my favorite paintbrush. This is probably, oh god, this is probably a 4 or 5 year old paintbrush. It's on its death throes, but I refuse to get rid of it until it absolutely dies. It's my favorite paintbrush. Anyway, so we're going to get some silver on our paintbrush. I use the back of my hand to form a point or get excess off. And let's zoom in here and show you, because right here on the cockpit it's going to be real easy. We're just going to go in on the brown that we did, and we're going to put silver but not cover all the brown. So just kind of go there, put it in there, leave some of the brown showing. Come down here. Boop. Here. And then there you go. Now that gives the illusion that that's been chipped down to the paint, and then it's got rust, and it's, you know, there's fresh scratches, but also like that's been beat up multiple times and hit in the same spot. And that's what we're going to do across the whole model. We're just going to go to these areas that got heavy dry brushing, and we're just going to come in here and do the silver. And I use the side of the brush a lot. If it's a real dense spot, we'll actually stop scraping and we'll actually paint in there too, which looks like we're going to be doing a little bit of. So right here, it's a little bit thicker, so we're just going to pull it down into those scratches. And the cool thing about this is if you do the foam method and dab this on, every time you do this on a tank and you grab the foam and you pluck the tip, the chips and weathering is going to be different. You're never going to get the same exact chip effect every time. It's going to look, I mean, it's going to be coherent on the table with your models, but it's not going to look like you use the same stencil every time, you know, which is going to be really cool. Okay, so now we're going to do the spot right here. Too much paint. I'm going to go across the edge. Dun, dun, dun. See? Fresh. Dab, 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 dab. Dab, 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 dab. And we've got some spots down here. Do you want to know what commission artists charge, or do you want to know what people want to pay? That's two different things. Because I can tell you some stories, not to disparage. I won't give any names away because, to be honest, I kind of don't remember a lot of the people that do stupid stuff or ask stupid questions. Now, caveat, no stupid question with how to paint. But if somebody came up to you and said, you know, will you sell your house for $1? That's a stupid question. You know what I mean? So people that ask me dumb stuff like that, just aren't serious, I usually don't take them as seriously. People who are in the ballpark and just aren't familiar, I'll give them benefit of the doubt, and I'll actually, explain to them the process and stuff. So let's focus that in there. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, so what happens to me quite often, let me zoom out real quick. We'll do some more paint chips in just a second. So, this is a shameless self-plug here. Let's see. If I could actually type, would be alright. Alright, so that's my website. There's a portfolio on there if you want to check out some of the stuff I've done that's a little bit more polished and not off the cuff like what's going on right now. But yeah, some of the things that happen to me is they'll send me a quote request, and this happens all the time. Slight caveat, I worked for Brush for Hire until earlier this year, from 2012 until this year, so about 5 years working for Brush for Hire, and same thing happened over there, same exact thing. People would email me and they'll want a model painted, or models, and they'll be like, hey Justin, I want you to paint some models. I want you to paint 10 Space Marines for $50, and I need you to buy the Space Marines. And then I have to explain to them that a box of Space Marines costs $40, and they want to pay me $1 per model. Yeah, so this particular piece for commission is not where the bulk of the money comes from. The bulk of the money for this commission I'm working on is from infantry. Like, the Vindicators took some extra time because the weathering and all the other steps, but we're not talking hundreds of dollars per tank here, because like you said, it's not intensive. It's just I got to do some time, do the weathering, and then we're good. Yeah, $10 a model's low. That's less than what I actually charge. And after expenses and buying paints, I'm lucky if I even break even. To be honest with you, I'm constantly reassessing prices and trying to make sure I'm charging what I'm worth. But yeah, like I painted on that website there on the portfolio. Yep, so that's the thing. I didn't either. I don't factor it in enough, and then I start using it. And that's tough. It's hard to judge the paint cost because you don't know exactly how much it's going to be. So generally it's better if you just kind of charge a little bit more, like a percentage more. So some projects you're not going to break even on the paint cost. Other ones you're going to make money on the paint, but it evens out. But you have to factor that in. Now on the website, I think there is on my portfolio a picture of, I think it's 6 Space Marine tanks, Ultramarine tanks. Now they're not quite as weathered up as the Vindicators that I was working on, that I showed in the stream not too long ago. But I think that was like a $200 or $250 project, which is not very expensive. Now they came pre-assembled, so I didn't have to do any of the assembly. But you're talking like, what is that? $35 a model, I think. 35 and 40. Yeah, so $35 a model, somewhere in there, $40, whatever it actually was. So you're thinking, I don't get paid $10 an hour. So I was guessing, 2 hours a model, 2.5 hours a model, somewhere in there, and then accounting for materials. So, basically when I did the commission for that guy and I told him the cost, he was like, it's going to cost me less per model to have you painted than it would be to buy a new model. And the guy that was doing his tanks for him was charging him cost of the model, or value of the model, plus a percentage. So, my buddy was like, hey, I want you to paint a Predator. And the guy would be like, okay, the Predators cost $50. So he was charging him $50 plus 10%, so $55. But he wasn't actually buying the model. The guy was supplying it. And then I came along and I was painting a better quality, and my cost per model wasn't even enough to buy a model, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm articulating it right. I have been approached about that before. I think Oh my God, he was just in the stream. Um, Doug, I don't know if you're still in the stream. I can't remember your stream name, but you were in here. Was it Hit It Till You Quit It or something? Whatever his stream name was, or Twitch name. He was in here, and he plays in a lot of tournaments, and he suggested I do that too. Let's see. Yeah, the issue is if I paint them and I can't sell them, like if I'm trying to paint them and sell them on like eBay or a website and they don't sell, I'm out the money. The other issue is, if people come to me, are they still going to make it worth my time to paint their tournament stuff quickly? In the past, I've had a hard time painting or selling pre-painted models. People kind of have an idea what they want. But yeah, that's a roundabout way of saying what you're talking about. I have been approached about. Yeah, so at that point, you got to factor in the cost of the model, which is what is that? What was that kit? $100, I think. Gilliman's the lion's share of it, so he's probably worth like what, $50 out of it, something like that. Maybe 40, whatever the math is. So at that point it's $210-ish for the cost of the model, or for the cost of painting and materials. Some people will do commission stuff and they don't know how to charge, or they charge too much. There are instances where I charge more than other people, and there's instances where people do lower quality than me and I charge less than they do because, some of the stuff that they do I can do faster. So every artist kind of has their niche where they know what they're good at and fast at and what they're not. Airbrush is mandatory. When I started commission painting in 2012, I started painting in 2010. Commission painting professionally in 2012. I didn't have an airbrush. And once I finally took the plunge, because I was against it, once I finally did it, I'll never go back. It saves so much time. So yeah, and you can get into it relatively affordable. Like, if you don't have one, you can get a Patriot 105, which is my favorite airbrush that I own. You can get one for probably $70, and you can get you a $100 air compressor, give or take. And then, after a year of painting models, you'll look back and be like, damn, that saved me so much time. Back on the meta thing you talked about, though, the issue with that is, for example, recent tournaments. If I went out, I bought the tournament winning lists, tried to flip them and sell them on eBay or whatever the websites are, Daka, stuff like that, I'd go out and I'd buy 3 to 5 Storm Ravens, paint them up. Then within a week, GW actually FAQ'd that, and now that those lists aren't dead, but they're not as popular, and then I'm stuck with all these flyers I can't sell, so, yeah. But that's why, to be honest with you, that's why I'm trying to do streaming. I like commission work. I'm going to keep doing it, but I'm trying to get out there and connect with people, not just to promote what I do, but also interact and maybe grow my channel, because commission painting, literally the term starving artist applies. It's either really good or it's really bad, and it goes in spurts, Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. In 7th edition, if I had literally, painted up some of the cheesy stuff, yeah, I probably could have flipped it pretty quick, You are absolutely correct on that one. So GW's stance now would make it hard to do that, but from the gameplay perspective, it's going to make the game more fun, in my opinion. Like, the changes they've made have been really positive, and I'm a really big fluff guy. So hyper competitive stuff just always rubs me the wrong way, because that's not me. Yeah, dude, I feel you, man. I feel you. I got a 4-year business degree, and I was doing commission painting while I was going to school, and it was better than working part-time anywhere else or full-time anywhere else because of my schedule, and I'm still doing it today. Job market's not stellar. Yeah, I agree. I actually have some of the new Primaris Marines, and what I want to do moving forward, I got to get used to streaming and I got to get used to painting on stream and trying to do quality stuff. You know what I mean? But I did pick up one of the new small starter boxes, the little $40 ones that has the Reavers in it and the Primaris and the Chaos dudes. And because of the way Marines work and their different chapters, I figure I can do tutorials and show people how to paint different chapters of Space Marines. And then give away those models. So like I'm going to paint one of the Primaris Marines, yellow or something. When I'm done, I'm going to hit a button in the chat and pick one of the people watching, and I'll ship it to them for free. They get a free model. Granted, it's not enough to run a unit with, but it's still a free painted model. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. I actually on Facebook I advertise in quite a few of the groups. I also advertise or post in Spiky Bits. Actually, Rob Bear doesn't live far from me. Oh yeah, true. I shared the stream in some groups today. I mean, today this was impromptu. Me showing this was impromptu. Today was just I'm going to work and stream at the same time type of thing, and then I just decided I was going to show Adaday, if I've said his name right, how to do some weathering and stuff. Yeah, objectives would definitely be pretty cool. I'm not sure exactly what I would do, but one of the things you'd want to do with objectives, to be honest, is probably do them in groups of 6, so that whoever's winning them has enough to use on the tabletop. You don't want to just have one objective, So, but yeah, you're right. You don't want to win a Space Marine if you play Eldar, because then what are you going to do with it? Yeah, I agree. If people decide they want to do stuff with me and stream or connect, I am completely up with that. Or up for that. Yeah, that's true. They don't have to, but I figure if you're gonna win objectives, if you win 6 of them versus 1, then you have 6 that at least look similar instead of 4 or 5 quarters and 1 cool objective. Of course, you may be using other kinds of objectives, so there is that too. There is that too. But yeah, and what we'll do, it won't be on the stream for this because that'll take some time, but I'll probably come in after I weather this guy up, and I'll mask off back here and spray this black to get an even coat with no strokes, and then start actually bringing that in. I'll spray this black and dry brush it to make the silver, which if you've never seen that, that's something to learn to do too. Is how to do metallics with dry brushing. It's something else, man. And that's the way painting is. Like you got learning to paint smarter, not harder, I think's the phrase. Yeah. So Kenny from Next Level Painting actually liked my stream the other day. I wanted to do collaborative stuff with him before I got on Twitch with him and Rob. When I was with Brush for Hire, it just never happened. But yeah, the angle thing is tough, and you can tell I'm having a hard time keeping the model in frame. It's because of where the camera's sitting. I got to get a different setup so I can actually position the camera further away so I can get more in frame. But this is my 3rd time streaming any painting at all, so it's all a learning thing, And one benefit of the orc objectives that you're talking about is they're orcs, so you can pretty much do whatever the heck you want, They're orcs. Anything goes for them. Let's use this side of the paintbrush here. Yeah, so like I can zoom out. That's about as far as I can go. But I want to be able to like zoom in and show the detail I'm doing, and then zoom out if I just want to show the big thing. But like for me to get him all the way in there, I have to like go to the table. I want to be able to get him in there and then zoom in if I need to. So I need the best of both worlds. Some kind of cannon. Without flipping the camera, I can't see the top. It's an older Canon. Actually, this is one of Brush for Hire's hand-me-downs. I've been using it. Austin upgraded to a 60 FPS amazing camera. And if you're not familiar, Brush for Hire is now known as Death Ray Designs. If you've seen any Dawn of War inspired terrain that's from laser cut stuff, that's probably his. So check that out. But I'm using one of his old cameras from back in the day when he did tutorials and stuff like that. So hang on one second, guys. Sorry, guys. Got someone at the door. Anyway, yeah, so commission painting, that's one thing that I've talked about a while ago, and I agree with you, is where I'm getting at. You learn a lot. I'm much better today than I was when I started. And I mean, I knew how to paint when I started, but I didn't know anything really, to be honest, like I know now. And a lot of it's just trial and error. You build confidence, and like I'm on the live stream right now, and I'm, to be honest with you, like nervous because I didn't plan on doing any of this, you know, and talking to people about it while I'm doing it. Like socializing is one thing, but like trying to teach, you know, like I don't want to screw up, but it's one of those things where once you get your confidence up, you learn that you got to try stuff, you're going to screw up stuff, and you know, like if you don't do that, you're never going to improve. So you know, it has helped me out in that regard where I'll give things a try, and if I screw it up, I'll fix it and start over. So that's helped, or has bled over into like the stream thing now, because while I'm nervous, I'm still just kind of going at it. And if I screw it up, you know, worst case scenario, someone laughs at me, but you know, whatever, you know, life happens, not perfect, you know, so that's just what I do. And you're right, like you learn things. I've painted thousands of miniatures at this point, and I never would have painted even a fraction of that had I not done any commission painting. So yeah, absolutely. Alright, I think we've got sufficient paint chipping on this now, so it's good to go. What we're going to do now, yeah, and I would hope so. I mean, if somebody want to make fun of it, it's like, you know, whatevs, man. I catch some flack on Facebook from time to time where some keyboard warrior wants to talk smack about models, but you know, to be honest, even if you're not a good painter, it takes some courage to post your stuff in a public forum and ask for you know, critique or just share. So that guy that I'm thinking of in particular that was giving me a lot of grief, it's like, dude, I'm actually sharing my stuff and I'm trying. If I'm good, I'm good. If I'm not, I'm not. But you know, it takes some courage to actually share it. I don't see him doing that, you know, so kind of look at it that way. And then I think the people that are actually good generally don't talk a lot of smack, you know, like I don't see Kenny running around Facebook telling people they suck at painting, you know, like he's more like, yo, let me show you how to do this and help you improve. And that's the way painting should be. Everyone should be chill and relaxed and just let's hang out, you know. Today I am mixing some stuff for a wash. I should have explained that. This is from Hobby Lobby. This is FW. I think it's just brown. Wherever the heck that's listed. Somewhere on here. Am I missing it? Derp, 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 derp. It's listed somewhere on here. I'm missing it, but it's brown. It's an ink, and I'm thinning it down with a little bit of matte medium and some water, and I'm going to mix Agrax Earthshade in it, and I'll show you the next step to move this on. Yeah, I agree with you. I completely agree. And Kanar is my moderator, and he hears me complain most evenings about people, because people, like, I have a way of somehow attracting the trolls. Fortunately, not on my stream. Yeah, and I think that happens with everybody. I think the difference is, yeah, I mean, me and my friends troll each other too. I think the big difference when someone shares something like that is, do they realize their quality level, and do they take criticism well? You know what I mean? And if they're posting something and they're willing to improve and they take the criticism well, then, you know, whatever. But there's a difference between someone who's not very good and trying to improve, and the person on the other end of the keyboard who's being an ass to them, you know? Like, if somebody comes to my Facebook page and they say, hey, can I show you what I painted and get some feedback, I'm not going to be like, yo, dude, you suck. I'm not going to do that. Like, kudos to you for actually trying to paint in the first place, and kudos to you for actually wanting to get better, you know? And I tell most people all the time, I'm not the end all be all. I'm okay. I mean, I'm not bad, but I'm not the end all be all of painting. I do what I do and just constantly try and improve. That's all we can do. And mix in some stuff. So what I'm doing right now while I'm yakking, I'm mixing up a little wash with the ink stuff in it. I wanted a little bit more Agrax because it wasn't quite as brown as I wanted. And you don't have to mix stuff like this. I just like using a little bit of ink in there. You guys missed some of this earlier. This is what I was doing to the tanks when I was doing rust streaks. So, Adaday, if I got your name right, this is the next step. This may work out well for your orcs. And you can use just straight Nuln oil. You can use Agrax. I would thin them down just a little bit, with a little bit of water or medium of some sort. Or you can mix a little bit with Nuln oil or whatever. You can mix it with Typhus corrosion too. But what you do is you just put it on the model. Let me get a little more in there. And you start creating streaks. So because I got a lot of rust right here, I'm going to actually go in the middle of it where my happy little accident was. We get a lot of wash here. There we go. And we're just going to streak that back. We're creating oil streaks. That's all we're doing. And you're going to find like that spot's a little bit of an anomaly because that's where I screwed up. But where you want to focus a lot of this is where the chips are. So like we're going to come around right up in here. Follow a little bit of the chips. A little bit of the wash. So we create a little bit of a pool. And then just kind of drag some streaks down. And you can like wiggle the paintbrush a little bit when you do it. You want varying lengths and stuff, so you want to look cool. Boop, boop, boop. And that's what we do. And you could do a lot of that stuff on your orcs. Like, definitely on your orcs, man. Depending on what color your armor plates are, anyway. So it just depends on what you're doing. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, so I've got a thing that blocks links. Kanar helped me set that up. Give me a second and I'll see if I can manually find your link and check it out. I'm going to assume you're sharing a painted model. So give me 1 second to set this guy down. And we'll check it out. Oh, hey! Look at that! Let's see, zooming in here. Do you use any washes, buddy? if you aren't using washes for your brown, some Agrax Earthshade just over the top, Liquid Talent, just put that stuff on there, and you'll notice once you start painting it on, it's going to pull up and give you shadows. For the skin, I think there's one called something Camo Shade. Definitely get on that, buddy. That, I'm telling you, once you, like, you're learning, you're seeing some weathering techniques. Once you learn washes on your models, like, I mean, it's legit Liquid Talent, my man. That will definitely help you out. But Agrax Earthshade, I would pick some of that up for your model. There's some type of green camo, I think. Camo Shade, camo something. Basically, some type of green wash for your orc's skin would definitely help you out for sure. And what it's going to do is give you shadows and depth. I'm using washes right now to do oil streaks, which you can also do. But I don't think I have a model here to quite show you on. Hang on, give me 1 second. Let me see if I got something laying around real fast. Awesome, sweet, you're in business. I don't think I have anything laying around. Okay, I'll do a quick demo on something that's going to get painted over. Okay. Well, that's one thing. If you hang out with me enough, you'll notice I'm kind of a snob with paints because I use a variety. All right, so this is one of my tanks that I'm working on that's not finished. I'm going to put a wash on something that is not. I'm going to paint over it just to show you what it's going to do, though. So we're going to zoom in, and we've got this Aquila here, or Aquila, however you say it. We're going to get some Agrax Earthshade, and let it focus. There we go. And we're just going to go over it. So this is the before, and this is the after. And like I said, I'm going to be painting over this because I want this to be gold. But right now, I mean, I could throw this wash over it. It's going to dry. When I paint over it gold, you mean no one's going to even see this. And that's what it's going to do for you. I mean, it's going to give you shadows and depth. And not even have to work at it. The Beal Tan Green, if that's the wash, that's more of a, I don't want to say emerald, but it's more of a, it's a different kind of green. You'll find stuff to do with these things. One of the other things you can do is like parchment and purity seals or anything like that, or pants, clothing, whatever you have. Like right here, this is not painted cream color, but I'd put a wash over it, and this has light etching in it, so it's showing you what's going to happen here. You know, so that wash is getting in the crevices, and all the spots where there's indentions, it's picking it up, and now you see the writing. Obviously can't read the writing, but that's what the wash is going to do for you. And that's super, I mean, super easy. It took no time to do that. And to put it in perspective, here's one without the wash. Here's one with the wash. You know, so it's going to give you shadows, and it's really going to help. And then once you learn to do that, and edge highlighting, stuff like that, each new technique you learn is going to help you bump up the quality of your models you're doing. And you'll figure it out, buddy. Like the washes and stuff like that, I wouldn't even fret at all. It's one of those, like, once you start doing it, you're just gonna be like, oh, duh, where's this been my whole life? Because it's that easy. I don't know if you watch Mini War Gaming, but that's why I think they coined this. They call it Liquid Talent. Because I mean, you do your model and then you put a wash over it, and you could almost call it good right there. I mean, it's super, super easy. Ooh, that's a lot of wash. We do not want that much. There we go. That's more like it. Let's drag it over and go across the edge here. Okay. Alright, and we're, like I said, we're just doing streaks. Yep. And I mean, I use them on my own models. I've got models I've spent lots of time on. Matter of fact, hang on. I'm going to grab something. I'm going to be away from the camera for like 1 minute. But I'm going to show you guys a peek of something that I haven't talked about on stream or Facebook at all. Tim knows about it, and 2 other people that might be in chat know about it. You guys won't, so give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with War Machine, but this is one of their magazines. Let's see if I can zoom out. Cannot zoom out anymore. I'm going to adjust my camera real quick so I can actually get a little bit more in focus here. Now, Communal Napkin knows what's coming, so this is one of their magazines they put out, and they did a contest. Alright, camera. Really? Is this what we're going to do right now? Gonna live stream and you're gonna just slouch on the job? Is that what we're doing? It might still dip. If it does, I'll figure something out. It's being a little pain. Alright, so anyway, they did a contest, and I mean, you guys are probably gonna guess I'm gonna flip to a page with my models on here. But these are some of my models. Come on, magazine. Stay up in here. That made it into a magazine. I got a little collector coin for making it in here. And, like, those models that I painted in here, though, like, I use washes. Like, that's legitimate washes. So, if I didn't have to go to another room and open up my model bag, I would show these guys to you in person. But I have not posted about this on Facebook yet, because it's just been something I'm not sure how to approach. But point is, washes, like, if you learn to use them and layer your stuff and do your edge highlights, like, you can get really cool looking models, and, like, there's nothing wrong with them. You know, you don't have to just do wet blending. You know, washes are still, you still have a purpose. So let's zoom this back out now. Put this down. Enough shameless self-promotion. Yeah. And that's what I kind of end up doing with the washes. Basically, I wash to get the initial shades and stuff I want, and then I do layers of basically thin down paints and glazes to build it back up. But there is a use, and then I also thin down almost every wash I use. The stuff I'm using on this right here was still thinned down. And that's because I feel like I get more control, and it's easier to do multiple layers of a wash to build up than it is to put one layer down and screw it up, you know? So I always thin them down. And that's what I like to do. But yeah, I was pretty stoked that I made it into the magazine, and I didn't think I was going to make it. But I use washes, and it's a thing. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Right. I think I might call it quits on washing this guy right now. I think I probably got about as much as I want on it. I don't want to go too overboard. It is a flyer, but you know, if it sat in the dock on the battle barge for any length of time, it might have just hung out and been neglected. I mean, they're Space Marines. They wage war in a million different places, so things happen. But definitely good for demonstrating how to do things. And like I said, I'll come back. We're gonna do the engines black. We're gonna do these barrels silver with probably scorched tips. Gonna paint the missiles and all that stuff. So this is just preliminary, the actual armor colors on the actual model here. So I'm gonna grab some Space Marines and Add-A-Day. You're getting a lot of the focus here because you're new. I'm just gonna kind of show you some of the other benefits of washes. Let me mix up a little silver here. We'll do some silver on a couple models and then show you one of the applications of it. Boop. Bum, bum, bum. What it needs, like a button I can push, and then it pops up on the screen with like a "I'm mixing paint" like meme or I don't know, a Space Marine shaking a paint bottle or something. So you guys aren't just staring at nothingness. Alright, so we got a Marine we're working on here. And earlier I was basically doing the silver bits. And that's where we're going to go back to. Because I can do a couple of these Marines and then I can show you another benefit of washes. So right here I'm painting his knee joints, his knee, I don't know, mesh stuff. I like doing it silver because I figured it's like some type of metallic mesh. I mean, otherwise people try and shoot Marines in the kneecaps, you know. So I assume it's got some level of protection. So that's why I like silver. But some people paint them black, some people paint them gray. It is what it is. Let's see. Yeah. Whoops. I'm still on screen. Cool. So yeah, painting on camera is a thing. You gotta learn to be there in the frame. And what we're gonna do on this guy at some point, actually, depending on, I might end the stream, and when I do, I'll probably show a quick little like how-to on plasma weapons too. Since I've got a guy with a plasma, and I could just kind of impromptu show you guys what I do. I have to grab the paint for it. Did not intend to be doing it, but I'll have to grab the paint. Alright. So we've got his hip done. We're going to do his little joint real quick. And we're going to do the side of his gun's got a little spot we're going to try. It might get covered by the airbrush process, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, let me give that just a second to dry. Let me grab the paints. I'll show you guys how to do a plasma effect real quick. 1 second. I gotta find my blue. Hey, blue. It's almost empty. I'm still here, fellas. I am on the other side of the room looking for one more paint. It is being loosened, and there it is. Alright, these are the 2 paints we need. Alright, so out of day, there's 2 philosophies. What you can approach the models from 2 different ways. Display quality and high detail, or gameplay, tabletop. That's not to say a tabletop can't be display quality. It depends on what you're trying to do with your models. So for me, for example, I assemble my models ahead of time and then I paint them. The reason I do that is I play with my models in between paint sessions and stuff too, because it takes me so long to paint my own stuff. But also, if I'm not entering a contest, there's certain details that you can't really see even if you do them, and unless I'm doing a contest where someone's going to flip my model over with a magnifying glass to make sure I painted every little wing on an Aquila on a Space Marine's chest, I'll paint everything I can get to and then call it good. Now, like an Orc Luda or something like that, you're going to see a chest, but it's going to be hard to get your paintbrush in there. So models like that are the anomaly. You'll want to build that in stages, paint it in stages, then put it together, and then add any finishing touches you need to do. So that's a thing. But in general, you have to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to put your models together in stages, paint them, then put them, assemble them, finish assembling them, and then play? Or do you just want to assemble them, paint what you can see, drop washes, and get them on the tabletop quick? That's the two philosophies. You'll have to kind of figure out what's going to work best for you. All right, let me see if my other airbrush is clogged real quick. You can. I'm just also lazy, and I don't want to have to keep up with all my stuff. And then once you learn how to get at certain parts of a model, I mean, some of them you can get around with, or get away with anyway. All right, so we're gonna see. I don't have much left. This is, I think, ice blue or cool blue, whatever. So that's the first paint we're gonna use here. And this is with an airbrush. You could do some of this. You can do some of this by hand. It's not going to look quite as polished, but if you have an airbrush, this is going to be super awesome. So let's see if I can actually do this while we're on camera. What I'm going to be trying to do is drop some blue on the plasma gun here without overlapping the actual marine. Let me turn down my PSI a little bit high. Should have tested that before I started painting. Okay, I'm going to try tip. Alright, so here we go. And we're just painting the plasma portion of the plasma gun. I guess you guys might not be able to see that super well, but I'm trying nonetheless. Get a little dry tip here. Hang on. This paint's a little chalky, and it's towards the bottom of the container, so it's giving me some trouble. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so we're just dropping the light blue right now. And it's still dry tipping really bad. I need to get a new bottle of this paint. It's in the mail. Has not arrived yet. Man, try and teach things, and it's giving me so much trouble. Hang on, guys. Having to clean the tip of this airbrush off real quick. Okay. So in an ideal world, you wouldn't have to clean that often, but the Montana paint has a way of really dry tipping. And a little bit of spiderweb there, that's okay. Okay. Alright, man, take it easy, Kanar. Okay, so we've got this guy so far. Let me clean out this color and next. Where's my spray? Clean out my airbrush here. Whoops. Banging the camera around again. Trying to find my paper towel. Promise you I'm still here. I'm cleaning this off for the next step for doing plasma weapons. Show you guys at least kind of what this guy's going to look like when he's done. That blue was giving me some real trouble here. Okay. I think we're probably good. So we're going to come in with just a little bit of white. Assuming my airbrush is going to cooperate with me. It looks like it's going to. And we're just going to catch the a little bit of the top of the plasma gun as well. Just trying to get that white on the top. Assuming it's going to come out here. We don't need a whole lot, just a little bit. We want trying to create a high point here, and my airbrush is just dry tipping really bad right now. So it's like, I mean, doing these types of colors, you're working with really like white and blue, or this chalky blue, like any chalky paint like this. It's gonna be more prone to dry tipping. That should be sufficient. We got a little bit of white in there. Alright, let me clean out this color. Alright, we're almost to the last step. I know you guys are sitting here watching, but this paintbrush is going to be better off using the small one than the big one. Okay. I think we're good. Alright, the next color we're going to use is Minotaur Ghost Tint Plasma Fluid. This stuff is awesome. Assuming I don't screw up this model when I do it on camera. What it is kind of like a candy. It's a translucent here, so it's going to go on, and where this plasma effect is, it's really going to enhance the blue. So what we're going to try and do is do the bottom edge of the blue and see if I can actually get that going properly. Okay, get the tip clean here, and see if we can actually go in here and get this plasma going on. It's going to be difficult because I'm like trying to do the camera and airbrush. And see, it just kind of like comes to life. And then we'll come over to the back side, which isn't quite as important because you don't see it as much, but we're going to try and get down in there too. Do the back just a smidge. It's giving me trouble here. Trying to get the back of the gun here. Hang on, let me tilt him this way and come at a different angle. There we go. Cool. Alright, so I mean that was with airbrush. If you don't take into account how ridiculous amount of time it took me to keep the thing clean. I mean, that's super fast. Super fast. And get a plasma effect. And you can even do some down here on the tip if you want. We're just, just doing something real fast for you guys. And then there you go. And then if you start working with OSL and overspray, or well, not overspray, but OSL specifically, you could almost even have it glow onto his nose or his hands or shoulders, wherever you want it to go. And it is super quick and super easy. So that is one benefit of having an airbrush. Now, if you did that by hand, you would hand paint the blue or the white or whatever color you want on, and then you could hand paint on the Minotaur Ghost Tint like a wash. And the effect is going to be different because the way the paint goes is it's gonna pool. It's not going to be like a layer over the top like an airbrush, but you could still get a cool effect if you don't have an airbrush and still use the same paint that I just used. Last thing about doing washes, because I was kind of doing that while he dries, we were talking about, where's my Nolan oil, why washes are so good on models. And we've got this black, this yellow guy here, and we were doing the innards of his armor here, his little joints. So that's silver. It looks fine, but you can get a little bit of black wash in here. A little bit more than that. Make sure I'm still on screen, which I am. And there you go. Like, you can see a slight difference. It creates a depth of shadow, and all you do is just paint it on there and let it pool. And you can adjust the pool. Like if it's pooling too much, you'll know, and you can just use your paintbrush to get it back off. Capillary action. If you get too much pooled on, clean your brush, dry it off real fast, and then go back and touch the area, and it'll sap up some of the wash if it's too much. And you'll be good to go. So let's get on the underside over here. And there you go. Like, super good. And you can use some of that on your orcs. Like if you paint some parts of your weapon silver, and then you drop a black wash over it, it's really gonna pop in there and give you a lot of depth and shadows with minimal effort. And that's it. And to be honest, this model itself, while a lot of it was airbrushed, I mean, I still got a lot of the depth and a lot of the cracks and stuff with washes. So, just depends on what you're trying to do and what you're going for. So I'm going to wrap this guy up real quick and call it good. And you'll see me, I go to the back of my thumb or back of my hand all the time, just get excess paint off and go with it. So there we go. Boom. And oh, missed a spot. We'll get his elbow right here. Just get a little wash in there. And you can see, this is a good case in point. I messed up. You can see a little bit touching his armor I didn't want to touch. Rinsed off my paintbrush, got it dry. Just come in here and get to it quick enough. And just kind of coax it off. And then with the airbrush stuff, where we did the ghost tint, if we want to tone down the edge here, right near his hands, I'll just use a little black wash and go across the edge here. And just wash the weapon, and it'll tone down that one spot and take away a little bit of the blue sheen, and be good to go. Come across the back here, and boom. There you go. It's quick, real fast plasma effect, and explaining why airbrushing is so incredibly useful, and washing as well. So it's good. Like if you were doing this for like a competition piece and you used a wash, You'd probably come back in on the silver and edge highlight the individual ridges to make those pop and really bright, while the ridges inside were just a really dark silver. And then you could come back in with a little bit of silver mixed with just a hint of white, and even do a further highlight so that you could really enhance that. So you could spend hours upon hours on models if you want to. It just depends on what you want to do. One of the guys I'm working on right now for this commission is Sigmundson. This is who we've got working on here. He looks very different than the other guys. So I'm working on edge highlights, creating depth with shadows and inks. I got to come in and start edge highlighting his shoulder pads and stuff like that, then do his weapon, then do all this basing. But you can see there's a difference between the way these two look, and I'm spending a lot more time on him trying to build up the colors and the shadows into the edge highlights and whatnot. And he's probably going to look best from like this angle, to be honest. And he's slightly shiny because the process I'm using with the inks, it goes on better. So what I'm going to do when he's approaching the done thing is we're going to hit him with a matte varnish, and that sheen will be gone. And my client wants a power sword here, so we're going to do power weapon with lightning arcing on it, stuff like that. So he's definitely going to look pretty cool when he is done. So, but with that being said, fellas, it is approaching 8 o'clock. I have been streaming since, I think, pretty close to 1, so it's about a 7-hour stream, give or take, and I have not eaten lunch or dinner. I've just had a little nibble snack. So I think I'm going to wrap up the stream here. Adaday, thank you for hanging out, buddy. It's been cool. I'm assuming your name's Chris or CHR15X, whatever. Thank you guys for hanging out. I hope I will catch you guys another time. If you have not already, hit that follow button if you'd like to. So I hope to catch you around. Depending on what happens with girlfriend duty this week, I might stream some more painting. We'll see what happens. It's really going to depend on what's going on, but my goal is to try and live stream every Wednesday. I do a live stream most evenings when I play games. I do a live stream game contest thing on Sundays, and I'm going to try and start doing a live stream on Tuesdays. You guys are here, so you're going to hear about this first. I got this guy right here who's got his red colors already down. I want to do a Tuesday tutorial style session, and if I can get that going, I start giving away models that I paint and teach. So on this guy, I think we're going to do, or I'm going to do a session where I teach people how to do flesh, because he's got a lot of like flesh showing, biceps, muscles, stuff like that. So I can show you guys how to do it. I can wrap up the model with some quick details and whatnot, and then pick a winner from the viewers and have them contact me via private message or email, get their address, and drop this in the mail to them for free. And I've got some other cool business promotion stuff like dice and stuff like that to give away too. But I'll definitely be doing some more painting content and try to improve the quality of the stream. So hopefully you guys will stick around, and I've definitely enjoyed hanging out and talking with you. This is the most fun I've had streaming since I started 3 or 4 weeks ago. So definitely appreciate it, guys. I hope you've had a good time, and hope you have a good night. So take it easy.